Well, here we are with the third and final read-whatevering of Pinocchio ever, I hope. Can you imagine if next year we just get like 7 more of these? Now, this is probably the one that I was most interested in because, I pretty much knew what to expect with the Disney live-action remake. You know, it was like 80% CG. But I mean, come on, a Guillermo del Toro reimagining of the Pinocchio book? Like, okay, I'm on board. So now that it's finally out, I thought I'd take a look at the new Netflix/Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio reimagining called Pinocchio. But before that, really quick, this video is sponsored by Audible. If you don't know what Audible is by now, Audible is an online service that lets you download audiobooks, audio newspapers, and just like all kinds of spoken word entertainment. If you sign up now, you can start listening with a free 30-day Audible trial, which gets you 1 free audiobook that you can use for any title in their premium selection and keep forever. Audible is the home of storytelling with thousands and thousands of premium audiobooks, podcasts, the exclusive new Words Plus music series, Audible originals, whatever story you're in the mood for, you can find it, and things you never even knew you wanted on Audible. So let Audible help you discover new ways to laugh, be inspired, or be entertained. If you're looking for a place to start, I recommend you check out Where the Crawdads Sing. It's about how there's these rumors of this feral child girl who lives in the marsh, and they find her, but turns out she's totally different than they thought she would be. And so it's kind of like a coming of age story mixed with a murder mystery, and there's a lot there. So if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. New members can try it free for 30 days. You visit audible.com/Alex Myers or text Alex Myers to 500-500. That's audible.com/Alex Myers or text Alex Myers to 500-500. Try Audible free for 30 days. Audible.com/Alex Myers. Okay, back to the show.
By the time Master Geppetto made Pinocchio, he had already lost a son.
Oh, wait, okay. So we're just gonna come out and say it this time, huh? The Disney movie kind of danced around this a little bit with Tom Hanks mumble singing about how he makes clocks because he wishes he could turn back time or whatever, but no sir, no subtext this time around.
Geppetto lost Carlo during the Great War. They'd been together only 10 years.
What is it you're making this time, Papa?
Guess.
A soldier? A magician? A witch?
All good things require patience.
They wanted for nothing.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but why is this dude 107 and has a 10-year-old kid? I have so many questions here. But anyway, so we get a bunch of scenes about how much he loves his son and how he's the most important thing in the world to him, and whatever makes his son happy makes him happy. I mean, his dad doesn't even care that he doesn't like sports and would rather be watching Sailor Moon and Cardcaptors on Toonami after school, unlike someone I know.
The perfect pine cone. It still has all its scales.
I thought I could plant it myself and watch the tree grow. And then carve toys for myself.
I think that's as good an idea as any boy ever had, Carlo.
Well, okay, the bar's pretty low on that one, Geppetto. I mean, most boys' ideas are let's see how many warhead candies I can fit in my mouth before my tongue falls out. But then, right as they're about to leave this church for the day, you'll never guess what happens. They're just gonna put that, right at the beginning of a kid's movie? Whatever I was expecting from this movie, this was not anywhere on my list. Alright, okay.
The world moved on. But Geppetto did not.
So, Geppetto's been mourning the loss of his son for 25 years now, right? Given how tall the tree is. And also, we've gone from World War I to World War II. So this dude's 135 at this point, kept alive by pure depression, hatred, and spite. Wow, celebrities really are just like me. So this is about when we get to meet Sebastian J. Cricket, this old fella, who decides to hole up in the pine tree that Geppetto planted 45 years ago or whatever. But one night, in a literal drunken rage, Geppetto vows to bring his son back and cuts down the pine tree, using it to build a little wooden boy because he can't live another day without his son, and the Ouija board isn't really working anyway. So what's a guy to do? So after building this puppet, Geppetto wishes his son would come back to life somehow and then passes out after falling down the stairs. Hips of steel, this man, I tell you what. And in the middle of the night, as the story always goes, the blue fairy shows up to grant his wish.
Yes, that's right.
What is, excuse me? What is this biblically accurate demon spirit? This is not what I was expecting. So the spirit demon thing says that she'll bring Pinocchio to life, and it's Sebastian J. Cricket's job to be his conscience. And if he does this, then the spirit's gonna grant him one wish, anything he wants.
Little wooden boy made of pine, we shall call you Pinocchio. may you rise with the sun and wander the earth.
And so Geppetto wakes up from his drunken stupor, not at all hungover because the rage fuels him. And he hears some strange noises coming from somewhere in his house. So he goes to investigate, and then this happens.
Good morning, Papa!
What is this? What kind of sorcery?
You wanted me to live. You asked for me to live.
What is this?
You wanted me to live. You asked for me to live. My name is Pinocchio. I'm your son.
Oh my God. Like, imagine seeing this first thing in the morning. This has got to be like every girl's worst nightmare when you meet some guy on Bumble or whatever, and then you're like, golly gee, I hope he's at least semi-normal. And then he shows up at the restaurant like, guess how much crypto I have. Anyway, so then Pinocchio sings a song about how everything is so new and fascinating while he just like destroys Geppetto's entire workshop.
That was so much fun, Papa.
You're not my son! What is wrong with you?
Yeah, you know, this is like a little more believable response than what happens in the Disney movies where like this 1,000-yard stare Uncanny Valley puppet comes to life in Geppetto and like everyone in the entire town, they're all just like, huh, isn't that something?
Just stay here. Don't come out.
No, he told you to stay.
No.
Please, stop. You must obey your papa.
Obey?
Do as you're told.
But I don't want to obey.
Yeah, you and me both, kid. I remember growing up and every adult around me was always like, you gotta stop making fun of everything and drawing all these stupid pictures all the time. One of these days you're gonna learn to respect authority and get a real job. Oh yeah, well who's laughing now, Mr. Matheson? So once the town gets to meet Pinocchio at church, they all freak out because he is terrifying. And later that night, the priest guy and the podesta go to visit Geppetto and make sure this Pinocchio kid isn't gonna upset the morality of the town, as wooden puppets are known to do.
The community was startled by your creation.
As Podesta, I must ensure that this puppet of yours poses no threat to our community. This abnormal boy lacks discipline. Look at my boy, Candlewick.
Yes.
A model fascist youth.
Oh wow. Like, what does that even mean? Is this kid on 4chan or something? Anyway, so Geppetto decides to send Pinocchio to school so he can learn some discipline and valuable life lessons like we all did back in school, you know? Like how to do a kickflip with a fingerboard or what a blue waffle is.
Are you ready for school? Then I have something I'd like to give you. Ta-da!
What is it?
A very special school book. One which belonged to a very special boy.
And that boy's name? Albert Einstein. And so Pinocchio goes off to school by himself. Okay, like I talked about this before, but like if you have a wooden puppet that is actually the earthly avatar for an ancient eldritch demon spirit, you gotta at least walk him to school on the first day, all right? I've been saying this for years. No one ever listens. But like once Pinocchio actually gets to school, he just completely changes his mind.
What do you learn in school, Mr. Cricket?
You'll learn reading and writing. You learn the multiplication tables.
What's the multiplication tables?
Well, say you have 4 carts, each with 27 apples. 4 past 7.
I don't think I like school anymore, Sebastian.
So like Pinocchio learns that math exists and then he's like, nope, I ain't doing this. Let's try show business. And then of course he gets sweet talked by this guy who has heard about this living puppet doll thing, and wouldn't you know he also happens to have a traveling puppet show? What are the odds of that? So up to now it's been pretty much the same as the Disney version, but here it starts to really differ a lot. So Geppetto goes to the carnival puppet show thing and takes Pinocchio back immediately, which is already very different than the Disney version where like Pinocchio's gone for the entire movie and Geppetto just kind of like half-heartedly looks for him like, maybe he's in the toaster? But anyway, Geppetto, Pinocchio, and the carnival guy get into a huge fight and Pinocchio gets thrown into the street and this happens.
That was so much fun, Papa!
That's what happens when you let your children run wild.
Pinocchio was dead.
They killed Pinocchio? He just dies? And so then Pinocchio gets sent down to hell. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. He just gets thrown right down to the underworld where they carry his casket to wherever all the dead bodies end up. Oprah's basement? I don't know. But wouldn't you know, Pinocchio's not actually dead because he is a god after all. Anyway, so like I said, Pinocchio is down in hell, as he deserves, and he has to go talk to the boss, which turns out to be like the sister, I think, of the demon spirit thing from the beginning of the movie.
She gave you life, Pinocchio, when you were not supposed to have it. As a result, you cannot truly die.
Oh boy. And that's good, right?
The one thing that makes human life precious and meaningful, you see.
Used to be N with an E, but now I just don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. So we find out that because Pinocchio is not a real boy, TM, he cannot die. So his soul or whatever will be sent here until the sands of this hourglass run out, and then he'll be sent back to the mortal world until he dies again and then comes back and so forth. But anyway, so Pinocchio comes back to life and everyone's like, huh, that's weird. And now suddenly everyone wants a piece of him.
He either performs or you owe me 10 million lira.
He must be drafted into the youth camps by law. You will learn to fight and fire a weapon and be a real Italian boy.
Like a real Italian boy. Woohoo! So now obviously we've deviated very far away from any Disney interpretation of this story. So like Geppetto is now stuck between whether he should give Pinocchio to the carnival guy or else he has to pay him like $1 bajillion, or send Pinocchio away to the military because that's the law apparently.
I owe that man a fortune, and you will be taken far away and recruited into military youth camp. And now, look what you've turned me into. You are such a burden.
Dad, is that you? So like, okay, we have Pinocchio here who just came back to life after visiting the underworld, and then it's like, Father, I've come back to life. Yeah, that's cool or whatever, but like, why you gotta be so annoying though? And Pinocchio's not really sure how to feel about all this.
Sometimes fathers feel despair, like everybody else. And they say things they only think they mean in the moment. But with time, they learn that they never really meant it at all.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like that time when I was going through a phase where I was like, I really wish I could date one of those quirky manic pixie dream girls. They're so perfect. And then I finally did, and turns out, yep, never doing that again. Anyway, so Pinocchio, not wanting to be a burden on his dad or anyone, decides to run away to the circus and send Geppetto all the money he makes that this dude will totally, definitely pay him. So what do you know? Problem solved. And like, just a quick aside here, okay? But like, this Sebastian J. Cricket dude, like, literally does nothing throughout this entire movie. Like, honestly, why is he even here? But like, literally all he does is just serve as a kind of out-of-place slapstick comic relief character.
The pain.
I mean, I'm not sure that line was read the way it was supposed to be. Oh, the pain. Anyway, after Pinocchio rejoins the carnival, they pack up and leave town, so Geppetto and Sebastian have no idea where he is now. And then Pinocchio ends up traveling on a world tour all through Italy and like one other city somewhere else. It's kind of like when bands and singers do like a world tour, you know, and then it's like Vancouver, London, and 38 US cities. And Geppetto follows him all around Italy, but he's always like 2 steps behind and can't quite seem to catch up. So then he gets on a small fishing boat to like go across this like river or something, and wouldn't you know, he gets eaten by a giant fish.
Arrivederci!
So, whoops. Now, the big finale for Pinocchio and the carnival part is that this puppet troupe's gonna be putting on a show for Mussolini, but that's when Pinocchio finds out in a shocking plot twist that this dude has been keeping all the money for himself. What? You don't say.
And what is this I hear about my papa not getting any money?
I think you misunderstand our relationship. I am the puppeteer. You are the puppet. I am the master.
Okay, but like, we all just learned that Pinocchio can never die and will live until the end of time, right? It's like, why is he even scared of this guy? He should just be like, yeah, okay, dude, nice sword. Do whatever you want. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Anyway, so finally it's time to perform for Mussolini. Now, to get back at the carnival guy, Pinocchio and this like monkey stagehand dude, they sing a song about how Mussolini likes to poop and fart a lot. No joke here. That's actually what happened. And so then Mussolini shoots Pinocchio and burns down the entire circus.
Oh, hi, it's me.
And so once again, Pinocchio goes to talk to his devil goth chick friend about how death is cool or whatever, and then the conversation takes a real sharp turn.
I could get killed a lot. I'm the luckiest boy in the world.
Life can bring great suffering, and eternal life can bring eternal suffering. While you may have eternal life, your loved ones, they do not.
Why is this movie gonna make me rethink my whole life all of a sudden? And like, weren't we just singing about farts like 30 seconds ago? Well, looks like you dropped a big one. Chipotle and Taco Bell in the same day. Oh, I can't believe.
Have you ever thought about how finite your time in this world is and how one day will be the last day you ever see your loved ones ever again?
It's like that time when I finally decided to check out BoJack Horseman, and I was like, all right, let's give this funny horseman cartoon show a watch. Why did I do this to myself? Anyway, so Pinocchio comes back to life and realizes he's been drafted into the Italian youth army, where everyone's like 10 years old. Nothing weird about that. You know, now that I think about it, this is kind of more messed up than the Pleasure Island part of the Disney movies. I mean, like, that part is completely insane, okay? Don't get me wrong. But like, in this movie, Pinocchio gets drafted into a child army to fight in the war because he's basically a 10-year-old kid who can't die. I don't know, man. There's just a whole lot going on here. So one day, they're doing some kind of like King of the Hill training exercise thing, and both Pinocchio and Candlewick, this kid here, they win the competition at the same time. So they decide that they're both winners.
You're both here. Why?
We both won, Father.
And how did you come to that conclusion, may I ask?
It was a tie.
But then Candlewick's dad, who is the Podesta from earlier and also is in charge of the child army, like, he tells his son to shoot Pinocchio. And then he gets bombed by an enemy plane, Pinocchio flies off in the explosion, and then wakes up crucified to a cross by the carnival guy. It's like, I swear, this all happens in the span of like 2 minutes.
Huh? Candlewick!
Bonjour, mon étoile. Is our contract worth nothing? I'll do my part, and you will burn. Burn bright, like a star.
You know, I thought the live-action Pinocchio was kind of messed up, but like, oh my goodness. This is just like, I don't even know what to say here. Whatever I thought I was gonna get from this movie, I got so much more. But anyway, then the monkey guy helps Pinocchio at the last second, a la Darth Vader versus the Emperor, and the carnival guy ends up smashed against a rock in the ocean. Like, I don't think I can show this part on YouTube, but like, trust me, this dude is just like pulverized on this rock. So the rest of the movie after this is pretty much what you all know about Pinocchio. Like, he's in the ocean trying to get back to Geppetto. He gets swallowed by the same giant fish, and, you know, you get the idea. Except this time, instead of making the fish sneeze with, like, a fire or whatever, they realize they can climb out if Pinocchio just, like, tells a bunch of lies so his nose grows a bunch.
Oh, Papa, I hate you!
What? Well, what do you...
And I hate you too, Spazzatura! And you, Sebastian J. Cricket!
Yes, I see! Lime, boy!
Now, like, okay, I said this back in my other Pinocchio video, but in these movies, like, it just shows that lying is a great way to get out of a tight situation. Like, everyone seems to remember the Pinocchio movies being about how lying is bad because his nose grows and everyone can tell when you're lying or whatever, right? But never in any of these movies has lying ever had any negative effect on anything. It's only ever helped Pinocchio.
Yes, that's it. Lie.
My name is Panuccio.
Oh, Pinocchio!
I love the smell of onions. I love what?
Sure, honey, I'd love to watch more Too Hot to Handle. Yes, honey, if you somehow magically turned into a worm, I would absolutely keep dating you. Oh yeah, I definitely think all your personality quirks are adorable and very endearing, and I love answering all your random hypothetical questions. Now, in the Disney Pinocchio movies, after they escape Monstro, like, he's just like, well, shucks, guess I'll just go back to terrorizing the ocean or whatever it is I do. But in this movie, okay, you are not prepared for this. What? They just like blow the whole thing up? What? So this sends Pinocchio back to hell once again. He has to wait until the hourglass runs out, you know, as usual. But Geppetto is currently drowning in the ocean. So if Pinocchio doesn't go back right this second, all this was for nothing.
If you were to go back now, you would become mortal. You will die, Pinocchio. And it will be your last life.
I don't care. Send me back.
And so Pinocchio comes back to life just in time to save Geppetto, but in so doing, he sacrifices his final life, which the blue demon fairy thing shows up again to remind us all about.
To save you, he became a real boy. And real boys don't come back.
Okay. This movie, man, I tell you what. But now remember back how Sebastian was given that wish if he helps Pinocchio out or whatever back at the beginning of the movie, right? So he remembers that he still gets that wish, even though he did nothing the entire movie, but sure, okay, dude, whatever you say. And so he uses that wish to bring Pinocchio back to life. And like, you know that Sebastian here is never gonna let Pinocchio or Geppetto ever forget about this. Good morning, everybody. What would you like for breakfast? Well, I would like to have a big old pile of money, but whoops, guess I blew that chance bringing you back, didn't I? You know, Pinocchio, I've always thought you were kind of cute. Oh yeah, you know who else is cute? Gadget from Rescue Rangers. Could have made her real, but no, I had to spend it all to bring back this weird little guy. But anyway, so then Pinocchio comes back to life, not as a real boy, he's still like a puppet, and they all just live happily ever after, except then we see how Pinocchio is just watching everyone around him die until there's no one left.
Geppetto aged, Pinocchio didn't. And in time, Geppetto left. One winter morning, Pinocchio found me by the window. I wasn't moving anymore.
This is like the most depressing ending to any movie I think I've ever seen. And so they all lived happily ever after for about 3 weeks until everyone else died and Pinocchio now wanders the earth alone forever. Thanks for watching, kids. I will say though, okay, let's be honest here. I actually do like this movie quite a bit. I mean, I love stop motion animation. I said this back in my Coraline video, but like, I think it's totally its own art form that we really don't get nearly enough anymore. And after only seeing like Disney versions of Pinocchio, I thought this version was a rather fresh take on the idea, strange as it was. It does kind of remind me a little bit of like The Little Prince, just in how like on the surface it seems very kiddie, you know, lots of wackadoo characters. They're singing songs about like farts or whatever. But then you actually watch it and turns out it's really about loss and grief and the beauty of life and the meaning of death, and it's like a lot more dark and deep than you would ever expect. But like, I don't know, this being a Guillermo del Toro movie, I guess I thought it would be like even more bizarre and unsettling, and like it definitely is very weird sometimes, but like, I don't know, it almost kind of plays it too safe, I think. Like they really could have just made this like so off the wall, like nightmare-inducing stuff, like what you see in Corpse Bride or Coraline or something like that, right? But like, it's actually played rather straight for the most part. But anyway, all in all, I actually like this movie quite a bit, so I do recommend you check it out, but that's just me. Hey, so before I go, I just want to ask a little favor here, okay? A little bit ago, I made a video about the Nickelodeon show Ned's Declassified, and for whatever reason, the algorithm just took like a big old dump on it, so if you have 13 minutes to spare, I'd really appreciate if you'd give it a watch, okay? I'll link it here and also down in the description. I think it's one of my best videos, but YouTube is just not playing ball here, so if you would, please, check it out. But all the same, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.